And then after that, you want to go ahead and pay it off. You don't want to necessarily have to make that bill every month, but go ahead and pay it off if you would like to. Now, for people that, those are people that already have established credit. So, people that have just or they have newer established credit, and I'm even counting people that are, let's say 3 years, 4 years, 3, 4 years. I'm calling you as newly established. All right. So people that have just, including people all the way down to I got credit 2 months ago. Right. So if you just established credit, let's say your length of history is lower than the 3 years, like I just said, you get that new card, use it and use it sparingly. Right. You want to use it sparingly. When it comes to that credit utilization, you don't want it to be over 30%. Hardly ever. Like, yeah, cool. If you go 35%, you go 50%, and then you pay it off. That's perfectly fine, right? All those things are perfectly fine. But you want to make sure that you use it sparingly, especially when you're newer, right? So when you get that new card, don't go wild on it, right? So if you get a card, let's say they even give you $1,000, $300 or less is where you want your balance to be, right? So you just need to change your mindset on that. If it's $500, then you got $150. You just need to change your mindset on how you think about it. Just because they give it to you doesn't mean that you need to take it and use it all, right? So you want to keep at lower than 30% of whatever the limit is that they give you, right? So let's talk about this. Use it sparingly. Charge 30 to 60 bucks on that card, and do the same as those people that we just talked about that have established credit. Pay half the first month and then pay the rest off the next month, especially if you're getting a credit card simply to help establish credit for you and get a better credit score. This is a great way to do it. So you're going to get it and you're going to pay half off and then you're going to pay the other half the next month, right? You're going to do those things. Now, I say that with the assumption that you just don't want a bill monthly and you can actually afford to go ahead and make that payment to get that done. Now, if you want to pay the minimum until it's gone, that is absolutely perfectly fine. If you want to do that, you charge 60 bucks. The minimum was $10. You pay $10 for the next 6.5 months because you're going to get a little interest, right? So you pay that 10 bucks every month until it's gone. That's absolutely perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. It actually may even be better for you to show more monthly payments in a row than, for a few months. So you go ahead and do that if you're just established. Those people 4 years and under, 3 years and under, just established 1 month ago. That's what you want to do with that. Let's look at another thing that you can do when it comes to jumpstarting your credit. Your credit card debt and stagnant credit scores, right? So if you got credit card debt and you have stagnant credit scores, what are you supposed to do? Get your credit utilization down under 30%. Just mentioned it in the last piece. Get it down under the 30%. And frankly, I don't care if it's by hook or crook, but you need to get it down under 30%. What can you do? Of course, you can pay it down over time. You can look at a snowball or avalanche system of a way of paying it down. It's not advantageous financially nor for your credit score for you to say, okay, cool, I got these credit cards and I'm going to pay more than the minimum on all of them every month. It's not most advantageous for you to do so. It's most advantageous to take all of that money that you can pay over. If you had 4 cards and you say, I'm going to pay 20 bucks over on each of those 4 cards, that's $80, and I'll do that every month. The most advantageous way to do this financially as well as for your credit score is to go ahead and take that $80 and apply it to one card and pay the minimum on the other cards. You take that 80 bucks, you are already paying 20 bucks a month on each card, right? So you take the 80 from the 4 cards, you add it to just one card. So now that's $100 you'll pay per month on that one card until it is gone. When it's gone, you don't revert back and keep paying a minimum on the others. You take that $100 and you add it to the next card, and you do the same thing until that card is gone, and so on and so forth. That's the best way financially to get it done than to pay over on the other cards. So Take that extra money that you might have, and you do that. You pay over on them. So paying that paying it that way will absolutely help you with your credit utilization, and thus it'll help you with your credit score. So you can also, when we talk about you got a credit card but you have stagnant stuff, and I was thinking by hook or crook, that's by getting that done right, so that you can pay it down over time. You can obtain a new credit card, a credit card you have basically no intentions on using. You're not going to use the card, but you can get the card. You can hold on to the card. Why do you want to do that? Now it will cost you a few points initially, right? You got to get that. You got to get that ding for even having an inquiry, right? The audacity to try to seek credit, they're gonna ding you for it, right? So since you're gonna do that, you're gonna get that ding. That's gonna last just a little bit, because this card is to be as a help meet for you, right? So it's going to help you in the long run. You may have no intentions on using it at all. You need to activate it. So let me get that clear. You do need to activate it so it does pop up, show up on your credit report. However, if you don't use it, that'll be great too, right? Now, why are you doing this? Again, for your credit utilization. You get a new card, you get more limit. More limit helps you when it comes to your credit utilization. That means your utilization is going to go down if you have more limits and you don't use that balance on there. So that's another way, another thing that you can do. Again, it's going to cost you a little bit in terms of points. Shouldn't be any more than 5 points or so just to apply for that particular card. But it's going to absolutely be worth it in the end, because you're going to get many more points back when it comes to that. All right. So then the next thing you can do when it comes to this, if you've got that credit card debt and you're stagnant when it comes to it, you can take those increased credit limit offers. So when the company sends your email, sends you some snail mail, and says, hey, we would like to increase your credit score, and, not your credit score, your credit limit by $500. Check here if you agree. You need to go ahead and do that. Because again, that's almost like going out and get that other credit card, right? It's almost like the same thing. You're getting a credit limit increase. The more credit that you have available to you, the lower your credit utilization is going to be. Now, the caveat within all of these things is you can't use that credit, though. Great, thanks. Give me some more credit, but you can't use it. If you use it, then you just go against what you were trying to do. Don't use that credit, and that'll help you with your credit score. It'll help you with your credit utilization in there. So you've got options. You've got plenty of options when it comes to this. You've got plenty of options of things that you can do to help lower your credit utilization, which is 30% of what your credit score is, right? It's 30%. It's right behind payment history. So if you're going to pay on time all of the time, boom, you're going to get all the credit that comes along with it, all the points that potentially come along with that. And then you got this other 30% that comes along with your credit utilization. And if you can tackle that, you're talking about 65% of what makes up your credit score. And the other stuff is gravy. You can get to all of the other things, but this is how you help jumpstart your credit score. Now, one of the last things I'm going to mention about the jumpstart, or one of the last tips for you, of course, it's going to be about authorized user. Become an authorized user on somebody's card that is, one, older than your current credit age, or your length of history, if you will, right? Make sure that it's older than that, just so you don't take a negative hit. No, it doesn't make any sense to grab if you have a 5-year credit age, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense for you to jump on somebody's card who has only 12 months worth of credit history. Even though they've paid it perfectly and all those things, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to do that when it comes to the length of history. Now, there's somebody for sure, they've had it 12 months, it's got a $10,000 limit, and they don't owe but $200 on it, and your credit utilization is really high. You got an 80% credit utilization, and when you do the math, it's going to help bring that down to under 30%. That might be something you're willing to look into, right? But you've got to do some math on that. Make sure that everything is everything is good when it comes to that. So, if you've got questions about any of these things, you're not sure, should you do it? It may not come up now, but it'll come up 5 months later. Then you're going to contact me. Contact me. Send me an email, 800 at creditscoreman.com. Send me that email, and we will hash it out for you. So, become an authorized user. Make sure that credit length is good for you. The payment history has to be perfect. If it's nothing else, it has to be perfect, since payment history is the biggest factor, the biggest pillar of your credit. You have got to make sure that that payment history is perfect. And then, again, ideally, a low credit utilization is going to be absolutely helpful for you as well. So make sure you do those things. It's going to really, really help you when it comes to this. Now, since I'm talking about authorized users right quick, let me jump into this. What I say? Let's call it a caveat. So 2, 3, maybe even a month ago, I was speaking on Zoom, of course, staying safe, speaking to a group of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders about credit, establishing credit, what is credit, all of those things. And so we talked about establishing credit, and we talked about how they can get a credit score. And of course, it was about being an authorized user. When they, turn 18, they'll be able to get credit themselves. But before then, and then when they first start out, they'll have a lower credit score. And so this is what, some of the questions that came up out of there, and this was the discussion. So the discussion was, like, when can you establish credit? When can you have credit? And the answer is 18. That's when you can legally sign that document and say, yep, I want this credit card, car, whatever it is, right? That's when you can do it. If you do it prior to that, technically you could probably get out of it. You're 17 and you sign something, you could probably get out of it because you need to be 18 to do so. That doesn't mean that you have to be 18 to become an authorized user. You can do that much, much earlier. And so within this discussion, we start talking about these things as well. You can become an authorized user as young as 12 or 13 years old in some instances. Some creditors will allow that. Most creditors wait till 16 to let you do so, right? So then we start talking about that establishing that credit, and someone asked about, did it make sense for you to become, to be on your parents' credit card at 12 years old? What was the advantage of it? So here's what came out of that. It does not help your child anymore to add them earlier. Doesn't help your child anymore to add them earlier. Actually, the risk of you messing something up for them is actually greater if you add them at an earlier age. So for example, you add your kid when your kid is 12 years old, but when that kid is 15, you miss a payment or two. Now, that's going to hurt them, down the road when they, when that gets to their credit report. That's going to hurt them having that missed payment. However, had you waited till they were 17, 18, 27, whatever it is, right, to add them, you would already know which places did I miss a payment. Anything can happen between your kid being to age 12 and your kid being age 18. Look at this pandemic. A lot of people have lost jobs. Some people, you're not paying your rent and things of that nature. Who knows how all of those things are going to eventually impact you later on down the line. So maybe you do miss a payment on the credit card. Maybe they closed that particular card between 12 years old and 18. So you don't have to do it. Doing it earlier is not an advantage to your child. Your child or anybody you add to an authorized user is going to get the benefit of everything you've done in the past for that one card as soon as it hits their credit report. So you call up today, you add X, Y, and Z Smith to your credit card. It should hit their credit report in the next 30 days, maybe 45 days. It hits their credit report. You've had this card for 20 years. All of that benefits them as soon as it hits their credit report. Had you added them 5 years ago, it would have been benefit the same thing, right? So you don't have to do that like when they're really, really young for any it doesn't help them. So it doesn't make them get a better credit score. Seems to be, with my little research that I have done,